What's going on, everybody? Just hanging out on this Friday. Wanted to do a live stream, so that's what we're gonna do. I do need to grab my trusty water right here. And we are making some roach food real quick in the beginning of this live stream so that I can feed the cockroaches and water the baby leopard geckos. And that'll be the cool part so that you guys can see some baby leopard geckos and stuff. But it is hot right now in Arizona. It is hot in the gecko room, so need to stay hydrated. What's going on, LED? So I'm gonna hang out with you guys, answer some questions, but I'm also making some roach food here real quick. It's not gonna take me long. I just need to chop up some oatmeal. So it might be kind of loud some of the time, but we're just gonna blend up some of this oatmeal here. So, what is going on with you guys, though? Any big plans for the weekend? Sorry for that noise. I know it's not really bad. What's up, Crescent? Yeah, you're well on time right now. Leopard geckos do not eat fruit. Crested geckos eat fruit, but not leopard geckos. I'm making a beautiful oatmeal smoothie. How does that sound? No, it's for the cockroaches, though. And we blend up our oatmeal so that when we sift it and sell it off to people, it just makes it so I can weigh the babies easier and I won't have like food particles in there and stuff. So what's for leopard geckos? So there's a number of things leopard geckos can eat, but the best thing for them is insects. So you're looking at dubia roaches, crickets, and mealworms and superworms are the top insects that people feed. Over here, as a breeder, we feed only mealworms. And there is a reason why we feed only mealworms. As a breeder, it's cheaper and it's easier to do that because you can store months and months of mealworms in your refrigerator. As long as the mealworms are kept at about 50 degrees, they will go into a like sleeping state where they will not turn into beetles, and therefore you can order a whole bunch of mealworms for low cost, only pay shipping once, and then like this supply lasts us for like 2 months. It's like I think it's like $150 for 40,000 mealworms. It lasts us 2 months, and we have 100 adult geckos and we have 100 baby geckos, and it feeds all of that for $140 for 2 months. So what are all your dubia for? The dubia actually is so that we can feed our bearded dragons, savanna monitors, baby tegus, all of those animals that need bigger insects than leopard geckos need. That's what we feed the dubia to. But mainly, and here's what the dubia is mainly for. The dubia is mainly for selling so that we can make money off the dubia and support the gecko business. Does that make sense? Because we're not selling geckos this year. As I've mentioned a couple times, we're taking a strategic holdback year and holding back all of our babies so that in 6 to 8 months, all of those babies can now be turned into breeders producing eggs for next season. So money has to be coming from somewhere, and dubia roaches are one of the top dollar selling as well as one of the top popular selling insect in the reptile trade. Because bearded dragons, which is the #1 selling reptile in the reptile market, they cannot eat mealworms. So you're forced to basically feed bearded dragons, for the most part, superworms or dubia roaches, and a lot of people choose dubia roaches, especially because they're just a lot fattier and more water content than superworms. So dubia roaches can be used as another source of income to support your business. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys tonight how we set up our dubia. So if you check it out, I'm actually making their food right now. One of the things that I like to give our dubia roaches is a grain. So they get ground up oatmeal. So here's some oatmeal that's ground up. I'm going to do maybe 1 or 2 more of these. And I'll show you all of our cockroach colonies. We have 7 cockroach colonies right now, and each of those colonies are producing maybe 5,000 to 10,000 babies each month in those colonies. And 10,000 babies goes for about $1,000. So if you do the math, if you have 7 colonies and each of those colonies are producing 10,000 babies a month for you, that's $7,000 a month just on cockroaches. Now, we're not making that much on cockroaches right now because, number one, I'm not sifting every month. And number two, instead of selling baby roaches at a lower price, I'm growing the roaches up a little bit and selling them at a slightly higher price. I don't really need to sell too many dubias right now, so I'm just like selling as needed. And I'm sure that, I'm just kind of speaking general numbers. I'm sure that each of my colonies, actually, I know for a fact that each of my colonies do not produce 10,000 roaches, but in the future they will. Right now, I would say each of my colonies is probably producing about 5,000 baby roaches per month, and there's 7 colonies. So 7 times 5 is 35,000 roaches, and 10,000 baby roaches go for $1,000. But 10,000 medium roaches go for $1,500. So you can make $500 more by just growing up the roaches a little bit. So more realistically, just to be completely honest with you, we're probably making about $2,000 a month right now on roaches, and since I'm doing this full time, that's going towards my wife, the house, expenses, It costs us $100 a week to feed the snakes. So that's $400 a month to feed the snakes. It costs us probably about 25, let me think about 20 to $25 a week to feed the geckos right now, and that number is increasing. We do have other species that we keep, like Tegus and stuff. So selling feeders like dubia roaches is just a great way to support your business. Yeah, there are a lot of people buying 10,000 roaches. You have to look for local pet stores, reptile stores. You can ask Petco and PetSmart, but mostly you're going to be looking for your exotic pet stores, your mom and pop exotic pet stores around your town. So if you do a Google search for exotic pet stores or reptile pet store, here in Arizona, I have like 15 stores within 30 minutes of me. 15 to 20 stores within 30 minutes of me. A few of those stores will buy from me every single month, and they would even buy more if I had it. And they would even buy more if I sold it at a lower price. But I don't want to drop my prices right now. There's no reason for me to drop my prices right now. So my prices are staying at the medium prices for the roaches. And so some of those stores, they don't want to pay medium prices, they want to pay less, but I don't really need to force myself to sell too much right now, just enough to contribute to the house, the mortgage, and the expenses. Because again, if I'm teaching you guys nothing except this year, holding back animals will produce you more money in the future. I'm making about 150 to 200, and I'm scheduled to make about 150 to 200 baby geckos this year. And all of them I'm temperature sexing for female. you know, because you could do that with leopard geckos. You can set the temperature lower to make them female, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to be female. So let's just say 100 geckos this year for me are female. I saw something about Black Knight. I was going to read that in a second. Let's just say 100 baby leopard geckos for me this year are female. I could sell all 100 of those baby geckos for an average of, let's just say, like $200, and that's $20,000. So that's $20,000 worth of baby leopard geckos. Or I can hold back all 100 of those babies, grow them up to be breeders next year, and each of those 100 babies, let's just say they have an average of 5 eggs. Now that's 100 times 5. Now that's 500 babies that you're going to have at an average of $200 per baby. And, you know, you could do the math there. There's a lot more. Now, these numbers that I'm throwing out, they're just roundabout numbers so that you can get an idea of how holding back in your collection can help you scale your collection, especially if you're trying to do it full time sooner rather than later. And since we made the decision to go full time into this business sooner rather than later, I need to speed up the process of accumulating stock and accumulating geckos. And the way you do that is by breeding females, holding back those females, making more geckos for the next season, possibly even holding those back and making more. But we're at a point right now where if we hold back everything we need to this year, we can definitely start selling next year. So it's the same concept with dubia roaches. Whatever I don't sell, I'm turning those into breeders. And my collection of dubia roaches will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'll be able to meet bigger orders and bigger demands and bigger supplies. And that's the ultimate goal, is to be able to do that. So we are not making bedding for mealworms. We're actually making food. I'll show you guys exactly how we keep our mealworm keep our dubia roach setups. And yeah, Eamon, just stay tuned with us. We are going to be selling some very nice high quality babies and stuff next year. So Predators is offering a few decent 1,000 for Black Knight leopard gecko babies this year and next. We received an offer from Chris for a few of our future Black Knight babies. That's a good idea. So build relationships with your local reptile stores and exotic stores, because that will also help you make friends in this hobby and be able to sell animals and feeders. So when you're grinding up the oatmeal, put it on the high setting. We have it on puree high. And just let it all fall to the middle like that. And as it falls to the middle, just kind of scoop around, and it will keep falling towards the middle, and it will cut it up completely fine. And it doesn't take too long. You do that for a few seconds, like 30 seconds to a minute, it's going to be good. Now you can use crushed up oatmeal like this. You can use this as bedding, but actually I would probably recommend not to use this. You can use this as bedding, but I would recommend not using this as bedding for mealworms, because I was reading recently how mealworms breathe through their exoskeleton, they breathe through their skin, and very fine porous dust like this can actually block them from breathing and cause them to die. Now, I don't really know the legitimacy of that, because wheat bran is pretty fine, but maybe it's not so dusty, and they're kept on wheat bran all the time. So, but anyway, this is cockroach food. So I used to breed mealworms in the past, but it wasn't for me. I didn't really enjoy or like the process, and it's much cheaper and easier for me actually just to buy mealworms from a professional company than put in the time and effort to do it myself. That's just for me. But dubia roaches, on the other hand, I do enjoy that process. I do enjoy the profits of that process a lot more than mealworms, and it is for me and for the business right now. It's actually, you know, what's helping pay most of the bills, besides your guys' wonderful support and getting us out there and having YouTube monetize us, and of course super chats and donations and all that. So yeah, well, Michael, post up a picture or find us on social media, GeekyGeckoCreations. I'll tell you what kind of geckos you got. I'll stick to grinding up dry bread. Oh, nice. Yeah, red Dalmatian is awesome crested gecko to get. Love those. All right, this is the last one. Just let that grind out for another minute. Actually, I like that idea. It is on my list to do a video of how to handle your leopard gecko, and specifically baby leopard gecko. That would be great. And also the color changes they go through. So I've been taking some pictures of my geckos this year, so in different stages, so that you can kind of see the color changes they go through. With tangerine leopard geckos, what is really common is tangerine leopard geckos will have some black banding or pattern on their back, right? That black will turn to purple. That purple will turn to green. If they are albino, that pattern instead of black is going to be mainly like a brown on their back, and that brown should still turn to green as that gecko gets older. Ultimately, in the end, at least for the geckos that we have, it turns to green because we are working with emerine leopard geckos / tangerine leopard geckos. So, you know, if you're not, though, it might turn to white. I've seen some tangerine leopard geckos that are also albino, and instead of black pigment, it will be, you know, brown, and then as the gecko ages, it will actually turn white, and it looks pretty cool. So for baby cockroaches, we sift every month and a half right now is what we're working on about. 70 degrees is, oh, for mealworms? Sorry, it's been a while since I bred mealworms. I believe mealworms are going to do better at 90 degrees, you know, 85 to 90 degrees. But you'll just need to research that on YouTube. Just do a search for breeding mealworms, and I'm sure you'll find some stuff. Oh, that does sound like a cool article about leopard geckos firing up and down and tracing their lineage. All right, so this is the last of the crushed up oatmeal. And now we will go feed some dubia roaches. It's so funny to tell people that you breed dubia roaches for a living. I mean, we do obviously reptiles as well, but I was just at a party the other night, and I mean, they were really cool about it, but some people are like totally surprised, which is understandable. But dubia roaches can make you a lot of money. I mean, look, there's professional companies out there that all they do is breed dubia roaches. There's definitely tens of thousands of dollars a month that you can make on dubia roaches if that's the path you decide to go down. And if you have It really doesn't take much to take care of that, you know. The problem is for us, we're working on so many other things, you know. Other species we work with, the snakes take up time, the tegus take up time, the savannah, the bearded dragon, the geckos take up time. But I'm still trying to expand the dubia roach collection because I think being a dubia roach breeder, in addition to a reptile breeder, is going to go hand in hand with supporting each other. And that's another topic. Like if you're trying to support your hobby or support your business, you want multiple streams of revenue. You never want to rely on one stream or this. You want multiple streams of revenue. You never want to rely on one stream or another. So since we're doing this full time, we really need multiple streams of revenue in case anything goes down or happens with one stream. We have other streams up. But if you're just doing it like lightheartedly as a hobby, just selling the babies of geckos every year should be enough to, you know, to produce for you. But there's all our cockroach tubs. I'm gonna go get some carrots right now because carrots and celery is the other thing that we feed the roaches. Did you get Onos, hon? Did the coupon work?
No, I had to use the one that was only 50% off for one.
Oh, okay.
I got you a Coke.
Oh, thanks. I'll drink it now then. Nice. Onos. If you guys have never had Onos, Hawaiian barbecue. Actually, I don't think it's called Hawaiian barbecue, but it's called Onos Hawaiian. Yeah, no, it is. Onos Hawaiian barbecue out here. They are a chain, but they have some great. It's like fast food Hawaiian. Yeah.
Why is there a gecko in the freezer?
Oh, sorry. That was a gecko that passed away. We're going to do an autopsy on it.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I forgot to tell you about that. So we have a reptile fridge in our garage. It's like meant for reptile stuff. But sometimes some of our personal food and stuff overflows and we have an overflow. And right now in the freezer, there's a female gecko that we had over here that was egg bound for about 4 months and passed away this week. And I froze her so that we can do an autopsy on her, dissect her, and kind of see what happened with the eggs, you know. And so that's gonna be something that we're gonna try to do here over whatever period of time we can do that. So I got the carrots, I got the oatmeal, and I like to throw a little diversity into the cockroach diet. So I like to give them another source of water and nutrients, which might not even be necessary, but I do it anyway. And I do celery. Celery, carrots, and oatmeal is what I feed the dubia roaches. So we're going to put this here. We'll put this here so that I can kind of look at your questions while I am grabbing the roaches. All right, let's see if there's any questions I missed before I start. Thank you, Cameron. Really appreciate that. I love being online. I love hanging out with reptile people. And, you know, this online society nowadays is just the way to do it. It's just another way to do it. So, cool. So I started buying these really big bags of carrots from Winco, which is like Costco. It's like a Costco or a Sam's Club out here. And but if you just leave the carrots in that big bag, they kind of mold sometimes because of all that condensation and water falls to the bottom. So I started putting them in like little separate containers and stuff. All right, thank you, Michelle. I will definitely look at those pictures and let you know. Yeah, you know, it's sad whenever a Leo passes away. It really is sad. I shot a little video on it, and I was gonna make a short YouTube video on it, so you might see like a short YouTube video on it soon about our egg-bound female that passed away. But it does happen. Um, so that's 2 leopard geckos I lost this year, as far as I can tell, due to the breeding season. One female just went off food and never ate and died. And even after I assist fed her, it was too late. It wasn't enough. And then another female got egg bound for 4 months and died. No, they don't need to be a certain weight to ovulate. They will ovulate super, super young. A matter of fact, I have 2 crested gecko females that were kind of like juvenile slash subadults, and they were set up in a group with males, and they just laid dud infertile eggs, but they laid it at like, I don't know how old they are. They're probably like 9. They might be like 10, 11 months old. They're super, super young still. And typically female crested geckos won't lay until like a year and a half, or you won't breed them till a year and a half. It's the same with leopard geckos. The recommended weight to breed a leopard gecko is 45 grams for a female, and probably about the same for a male, 35 to 40 grams for a male. But this year, I experimented with breeding females that were a little bit smaller. So we bred about 10 girls this year that were between 30 and 40 grams. Yeah, 30 and 40 grams. And I didn't have any problems with those females. They were not fully done maturing yet. They were not fully done growing, but they started ovulating at about 6 months old, 6 or 7 months old. They started ovulating, and they were big enough to where I knew that I could try breeding. But what I'm doing this year for all of these girls, because all of these girls are growing up, is I'm going to make sure I feed them a lot more than I did those girls from last year. So the bigger you can get them, essentially, the better it's going to be for the gecko, because some geckos will go off of food, and some females will get a little bit more stressed out. That happens with any female. It doesn't matter the age. And so if the female gets stressed out or goes off food and she's still growing, like she's still young and growing, and now she's producing eggs, that could take a toll out of her body, and that could be bad news, you know? What's up, more and more geckos? Yeah, we sort our colonies every month to month and a half, LED. Wow, really cool, Rachel. Yeah, getting hatchling leopard geckos, there's like nothing better. Oh, thank you, hon. Are you sure you don't want it?
I have mine.
Oh, okay, because I drank a soda today, so I'm being really bad drinking too.
I know.
So,
guys, yesterday he went to the Circle K gas station. He got a slushie, ice cream, and 2 cookies.
3.
And this 3 cookies.
Big ones.
And this is like a big slushie. 3 big cookies and ice cream. He's been like so bad.
I don't know if there's any evidence, any proof that there's truth to that anymore.
Your credit card bank account?
Okay, that's probably true. So what's up, guys? Whitney is here for a bit, but you're probably gonna go eat, huh?
Yeah. Pretty hungry.
Do you mind? I have a water also in the kitchen. Can you bring me that real quick? Thank you. It's great when your wife or your significant other is your best friend also, because you just know how to talk to each other and how to have fun with each other. So yeah, I had I play with my old works, which is Allstate Insurance Company. They started a softball team, and I play with those guys from work. And Thursday nights is my softball night. That's why I can't do live streams for the most part on Thursday nights. Thank you, hon. But I like to treat myself after the game, and I just went a little ridiculous after the game yesterday. I told myself I was going to get Burger King after the game, but what wound up happening is I stopped at Circle K, and I got a slushie. And then on my way past the slushie, I saw, what was it? What did she say? I think it was slushie. Oh, ice cream and lots of sprinkles. And then I actually bought those, started walking out the door, and I saw cookies, and I was like, I'm gonna get these. So I came home with ice cream, cookies, and a slushie. It was bad. And then today I went to the gym with my friend and I treated myself after and I bought a large soda. And usually I don't drink too much soda in one day, but then Whitney went to go get food tonight and brought me another soda. So I guess I'm just being super bad today. 6 month. Rachel says I have a 6-month-old female. I didn't pair her yet. She started laying eggs so far. Give her the same amount of calcium. The amount of calcium that we sprinkle and that we give them is a decent amount. So you don't have to increase that. Just make sure you're giving her the same amount. Just make sure you're giving it to her. Her eggs are soft because they're infertile and she wasn't paired with a male. And that's what happens. Is eggs, if they're infertile, they'll be soft. It's not because of the calcium. It's just because they're infertile. Oh, nice. Yeah, water dragon's really cool. No, sometimes leopard geckos will only lay one egg, even though they have 2 ovulations that typically come down and 2 eggs will grow. They can lay 1 egg, and I actually heard a really, really rare story from a guy that said he had a girl lay 3 eggs for him. So, yeah, they need to be bred with a male, and that's why they're soft. All right, let's feed some roaches. All the leopard geckos are coming out because they think they're getting fresh mealworms. Look at this one. Hi, little one. They're so cute. I just fed these guys too. I bet you she still might even have some. Let's see. Hi, sweetie. Oh, no, she's out. They eat them so fast. Baby leopard geckos will eat mealworms so fast. They will eat a lot and they will poop a lot. So let me show you how we have our cockroach bins set up. So our cockroach bins are pretty simple. Each bin is set up the exact same way. This is a 18-gallon tub from Walmart, 18 gallons. And this is set up to be 1 adult dubia roach colony. You could probably have, I would say, 600. You could probably have 600 to 800 females in here. Last month when I checked, there was 289 females, but there was 579 jumbos. Jumbos are roaches that are about to turn into a male or a female. So with those numbers, I'd say I'm most comfortable for this size bin. I'm most comfortable for about 500 females. And then for those 500 females, you'll want to pair 1/3 of those male. So you'll probably have, for 500 females, whatever 1/3 of that ratio is, it's like 150 males, 150 to 200 males. That's what you're going to be looking for. You want a 3-to-1 ratio. And these actually need to be sifted. You can see they get to a point where they're really dirty and sooty. At that time, I switch them out for the fresh ones like this. So, but I put the food off to the side. So check it out. We're going to sprinkle some oatmeal off to the side right there. These guys are breeding, so we'll definitely give them more. And that's probably a decent amount for 1 week or maybe half a week. You know what I mean? I'll give them a little bit more because I just have a decent amount made today. So why not? But I also am about to start sifting these bins. And so I don't want to waste too much food because when I sift it, the food might go to waste. So, and so there's almost 300 females in here, 600 jumbos, and there's 185 males. So let's just say 200, 500. So there's 1,100 roaches in here. There's 1,100 roaches in here. You can see how much dust. You can see how much what is it? Oatmeal powder that I just put in there. And then I will do. Now I actually don't have too much celery. This is all I got, so I'm gonna do 1, 2. I'm only gonna do 3 of these small stalks. Normally I give them like 3 big stalks like this. You can see how big that is, but I have a whole bunch of other colonies that I still need to feed. And I have a bunch of carrots though, so here's what we're going to do with the carrots. We're going to overload on carrots. So about 1,100 roaches in here, and that's a good amount of food for about half a week. So whatever that is, 4 or 5 decent sized carrots, 3 or 4 decent sized celery sticks, some oatmeal in the side. These guys just got sprayed down the other day, but I'll show you again what we do with spray. We take a pumper like this. And I'm not going to spray too much because I just sprayed the other day. But it's good for the roaches to get some natural water. So every, I would say 3 days or so, I will spray the tub down like that with some water, and they will come out and they will drink the water. And that is it. This room is kept at about 88 to 90 degrees all day long, all year long. And that's perfect for these roaches. So that's it. Every tub is set up the same way. So let me know if you got your questions now. Take a look at some questions I missed. What's up, Harris? Yeah, I had never heard prior of 3 leopard gecko babies being born, but that's why I love to get feedback from you guys and for you to tell me your experiences so that whatever I don't experience or whatever knowledge I don't have, I can gain some more by you know, absorbing from the rest of the hobby. So do you have any bold or tangerine females that will be for sale? Yeah, next year we will have bold and tangerine females that will be for sale next year for sure. A mood issue. Yeah, they can do that. What's up, Gecko Boy? Good to see you back. I usually go through 2,000 crickets a week. Yeah, you might want to switch over to mealworms or dubias depending on what you're feeding. So yeah, Brooke's not here tonight, but on the nights that she is here helping, because she works full time, and then she's also planning to go back to school. And the cool thing is, when she goes back to school full time, she wants to work with us part time, and so we should be able to spend a lot of time with her and have her on the streams, and also just have her as another character and personality here on, you know, on our streams when she's here. But she's just not here tonight. So Honeydew is here though. Where is Honeydew? I'll show you where Honeydew's. You remembered Honeydew, huh? There's Honeydew. Oh, wait. You can't see. There's Honeydew. Honeydew! She also ate all her worms. She also was a good eater. So yeah, babies, they need to be checked about at least twice a week. Fresh water twice a week. Refresh their food twice a week. Adults can really be done once a week. But babies, they are cycling through food like mad people. And then the same with the water, you know. You just want to get them fresh water if you can, as much as possible. So I'm going to keep working on some dubious stuff here. And then I'm going to come back to Jay Harris's question. I got a gecko from a breeder, and they solely fed their Leo's crickets. I don't... And have had problems getting her to eat mealworms, superworms. Yeah, you can change a Leo's diet. Just let it not eat, and just keep providing it the mealworms, and most likely it will switch over to mealworms. it is true that some reptiles can get accustomed to some insects, but with leopard geckos, once they take to mealworms, they will run with it, and they'll sit in their bowls and expect it. Like, you can see this little one right here. They will sit right next to their bowl and wait for mealworms, or they will actually sit in their bowl waiting for mealworms when they see you coming. See, like this little one, he's on top of his hide because he saw me come in, and he's looking down into his bowl waiting for mealworms to be dropped in. They are so instinctual. They are so systematic. They really get used to you feeding them mealworms in a bowl, and they will go to that bowl and like no other. So it is possible to change their diet. It might be a little tough in the beginning. I would put the mealworms in a place that is very visually accessible to the leopard gecko. Maybe even like if their hide is here, put it next to the hide so that when they crawl on top of the hide, they can look down on it. They like to hunt down sometimes, so yeah, I will do a video on sorting roaches. It is a whole endeavor. Like, it's not something easy that I could just show you right now. But you could also research sifting dubia roaches on YouTube. There's a lot of really good YouTubers that have put some good content out there. We pretty much use the same system. It's called the bucket system. You get like 5 buckets, you drill different size holes in each bucket, you stack them on top of each other, you dump the roaches into the top bucket little by little so it doesn't get clogged, and the small roaches will fall to the bottom and the large roaches will stay in each bucket. But sounds easy, right? But trust me, it is not. You're going to need a mask. It's gonna take time to sift through things. Once all the babies fall through to the bottom, there's still a lot of debris and food that you have to deal with. So one day when I'm sifting the roaches, I'll record myself so that I can speak about sifting the roaches and little tips and tricks, you know? Yeah, we really do want to make and sell our own racks. Right now, I'm just so busy, I haven't had time to make any more racks. So my cousin / business partner has taken over making the racks. He's really good at it. I asked him to video the next time that he makes a rack and then send me the video, and I'll edit it and put it up. So we can show you guys how to make your own racks, and we can also sell our own racks. That would be something that we're going to be looking for towards in the future. Yeah, if you won't eat anything else, feed them crickets. That's perfectly fine. But especially from babies, raise them up on mealworms from babies, and they will get hooked on mealworms. Oh, and one other thing worth mentioning about the dubia roach setup. If you use fruit, fruit will mold, and mold is thought to kill roaches, so mold is bad. That's one of the reasons why I use vegetables. The vegetables do offer the roaches some nutrients, but for the most part, it offers the roaches hydration as well. Now you can see I just sprayed some water in here, so I'll spray 2 times a week, offer food, fresh, vegetables 2 times a week, like carrots and celery because they're the cheapest, and then a grain. I pick a grain and they will eat away at that grain as well. Try not to put the food into the grain because when the food is wet and goes into the grain, that can also cause mold because it doesn't allow for the moisture in the vegetables to fully evaporate out, and it just sits in that oatmeal, and the oatmeal will mold because the oatmeal will stay wet and mold, so just another tip. Oh yeah, sorry about the mood issues. That's crazy. I mean, at least they fessed up to it and told you why. That's pretty interesting that they knew they dropped her as a baby. Um, yeah, you definitely want to be careful, and that's why sometimes smaller end breeders can be better to get your geckos or animals from because they have the ability to give more care and attention to each animal. You know. Yeah, I've never personally experienced it, but the whole hot female thing, females that are incubating above 90 degrees, they supposedly turn female and supposedly have attitude problems and fertility issues. I've never personally experienced it, but you know, I guess it's possible. Wow, a year out from racks. Do it yourself, guys. I plan to make a rack video, but it's pretty simple in concept. Okay, so here you have a shelf. This shelf only needs two main things. It needs a floor and it needs arm bars to put the next shelf on. And then you just make the measurements proper so that you can slide the tubs in and out. And you can actually use 1x3s and screws on the sides. Make sure you pre-drill if you're going with wood that is this thin because it will split. Pre-drill, and you could drill right into the sides there. And then these little arm brackets can, we actually use the nailer this time, but you can actually use a screw and pre-drill small screws in there as well. Then obviously you just need a top and you need a bottom. But basically that's it. You could just get a little bit creative and you can see we're just using 1x3 wood here, 1x3 wood there. We're using this, which is just a type of kind of like plywood material that we bought from Home Depot. And then these railings, my business partner had the ability to take a 1x3 and slice it in half. But if you don't have that ability, you could just replace, like as small as these are, you could just use another 1x3 like this as the railing right here. And that's kind of what I did with the ball python rack when I was making the racks. You can see I used a 2x3. It's the exact same design. I used 2x3s on the side. I used 1x3s here to create arms to hold the shelf. Now with ball pythons, moisture became a problem because ball pythons is constantly evaporating and mold was starting to grow on the wood. So I bought all new pieces of wood and I glued this Plastex stuff. It's called Plastex from Home Depot, but if I could do it over again, I would staple it because the Plastex kind of bubbled from the glue and everything like that. But yeah, just kind of getting creative a little bit. You just need to make a base and then you need to make some shelves going up. You need arms to hold the shelves. And then obviously you need support brackets to hold the whole thing together. So if you could get a little bit creative or just kind of work with somebody who knows that kind of stuff and can get a little bit creative, just tell them what you're trying to do. They can definitely hook you up. Is it normal that my female Leo is digging mountains into her substrate? That is normal. That's perfectly fine, especially if she's an adult. She might be digging to lay eggs. Even if she's never been with a male, she can still produce eggs. But whether it's male, female, breeding, not breeding, juvenile, I've experienced all of them digging mounds in their tubs. They just love to dig. That's why leopard geckos, they have claws. You know, they use it for climbing. They use it for digging. So you're perfectly on track with that. Yeah, it's not too bad. I spend so if I was to I spend about 2 hours sifting one colony, which is about 1,000 roaches, and separating out the sizes of the roaches, counting out the males, counting out the females. I had to do that this last time because I had too many males. If you don't have to count out the males and the females, and if you don't have to weigh the roaches and do all that kind of stuff, it's not too bad. But for me, I was averaging about 2 hours per bin, and that was sifting out the babies, replenishing and cleaning out the tub, counting the males, counting the females, and then putting the babies into a new container. That took me 2 hours per tub. I have 7 tubs, so it was about a 14-hour job. It took like 2 to 3 days, but 603. Not sure what your question was, 603. Once a week, mine eat about 3 to 5 times a night. So when you set your geckos up with mealworms like this, all you need to do is fill that bowl 2 times a week or even once a week, depending on how much you fill that bowl and how long the mealworms stay alive. And the geckos will constantly retreat back to that bowl and eat anytime they want. So it's a popular setup for breeders. I do play, right now I'm playing Apex Legends is one of the games that I'm addicted to, and I'm playing in between working with the geckos to take a break and stuff like that. So in the past, I've played Counter-Strike, CSGO on computer. I love the Diablo franchise, and I'm super excited that they're coming out with the Diablo 4. Very excited about that. I've played Path of Exile, but honestly, Path of Exile is just a bit much for me. There's so much going on. There's so much new stuff that they want you to keep in tune with, and it's just hard for anyone who's not a professional gamer to actually stay up to date and feel relevant and connected to the rest of the community. So I'm hoping Diablo 4 is not going to be like that. I don't think it will. I think it's going to be a very relevant game where you could just hop in it and still feel relevant with your friends, even if you're not playing all the time. But the main game that I'm playing right now is Apex Legends. Does your hot female breed, Crescent? I'm just wondering. When you sort, do you remove abuse? Oh, I was like, I'm confused for a second. I was like, do they abuse each other? But honestly, if you don't have a 1-to-3 ratio of 1 male to 3 females, it's been told, I did not experience this, but it's been, or at least I don't think I experienced it, it's been told that the males can eat the babies that were produced by the other males, and the males will also fight each other. So a 1 male to 3 female ratio is thought to be best. Now, for the longest time, I was growing up my colonies all together, and I had a 1-to-1 ratio pretty much, or sometimes even more than a 1-to-1 ratio of more males to females, and I still produced thousands of babies. So I don't know, would I have produced more if it was a 1-to-3 ratio? That's why I'm keeping track of numbers, so that now all the bins are a 1-to-3 ratio. Next month when I sift, I could see if that makes a difference. However, I have so many jumbos growing up in these tubs. Some of those could be new females, some of those could be males, so it's still not going to be an accurate reading for me until I get all those jumbos sifted out. Dubias need a few main things. They need 80 to 90 degree temperature to be successful at breeding. Closer to 90 is better. They need humidity. So misting down their tub 2 times a week is recommended. They need moisture from food. So I would not give them fruit. I would give them vegetables because vegetables do not mold. Mold can kill roaches. So I hear. I've never experienced it myself. But mold can kill roaches. So if your food is molding, that could be the issue. But it's pretty simple. Look, let me give you the rundown for roaches real quick. Again. Do this and you will probably have success, okay? The roaches need cardboard. They need a place to hide in between. Then they need a grain substance. So, I mean, when I say they need, I'm just saying this is what I give them because it's what I like to give them. They could survive off many different things. So, I give them oatmeal, which is a grain source. Then I give them some vegetables to get their nutrients from. Okay, I chose carrots and also celery because they're the cheapest, and in my experience, it just works. So why fix it if it's not broken, right? So there, now they have, now they have their carrots, they have some celery, they have their oatmeal. The last thing you'll want is to spray some fresh water for them so that they can also drink the fresh water. And then you'll want to keep them in a room that is between 80 to 90 degrees. The closer you could get to 90, the better. The room that I'm in right now stays between 88 to 90 degrees all day long, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Hun! I think my wife just put the sprinklers on, but I gotta be careful not to wet the Tegus. Okay. So this bin's looking good. Lots of babies running around. Gonna put our veggies in. There we go. And I actually have to get some more carrots, so I'll be right back. All right, I got some more carrots, and we're ready to rock and roll. There's one carrot, just one, that was a little moldy. So any moldy carrots, we're gonna throw those puppies away. Sometimes you get some squishy, moldy carrots in here, even if you separated them out like I did, because they were sitting on each other wet at the store in whatever bag they were in already. Now, I don't know if it's going to make that big of a difference, but personally, any carrots that are like kind of moldy or whatever, I won't put them in here. So That's another tip, I guess. And so, when you're done, you just have a very nice environment. This will all evaporate within a day, so it won't get too soggy, but it's wet for now, so that's providing humidity. Roaches also do really well with humidity, so that's another thing you'll want to keep in mind. That's another reason why spraying the cardboard helps with that humidity, and it's good for them. In my experience / research, but yeah, dubia roaches are pretty simple. So let me know if there's a couple areas where you think that you might be off, and we can kind of diagnose what the problem might be. But Nate's Geckos. Hey, Frank, I saw a few weeks ago that a few leopard gecko breeders on Instagram tagged you and explained why lemon frost is a bad morph I keep breeding. What's your thoughts on that? So I'm kind of trying to be as humble through this process as possible because, you know, I respect everyone's opinion and I respect what other breeders are saying. But if you don't know, we do work with a controversial morph in the leopard gecko world, which is the lemon frost. So just briefly to tell you about it, the project that we work with the lemon frost, which you can see one of the geckos in there right now. The project that we work with the lemon frost is... Okay, just for a quick recap. The lemon frost was a gene that popped up maybe 6 or 7 years ago from a breeder in Florida here in the United States. He produced vast quantities of the lemon frost and sold off vast quantities of the lemon frost, and so did other breeders that were breeding it until it was discovered, probably in about 2015 or so, that a lot of the geckos were developing spotting that was going on, and the spotting was determined to be tumors. And then biopsies and autopsies were done, and on geckos that had deceased, or they put down geckos specifically to do the biopsy or the autopsy, and they found that the tumors had spread into the other organs of the body. Now, one of the problems with the study, from what I can tell, is that the geckos in the study were heavily inbred. And so you were seeing short faces, short bodies, stubby eyes, which happens with any inbred species. But you were also seeing the tumors multiply because of the inbred genetics that were going on. Now, everyone is saying that the tumors are completely linked to the lemon frost gene. But one of the issues that I see with that is that not all lemon frosts have tumors, and some geckos that came from lemon frost parents do have tumors, but they're not lemon frost. So you could have a gecko that is not lemon frost, and it does have tumors because it came from the original lemon frost parents. You can also have geckos that are lemon frost but don't have tumors. So do you see the struggling issue with that, and saying that the tumors are completely linked to the lemon frost gene when not 100% of the geckos with lemon frost do have tumors, and some geckos without the gene do have tumors? Now, a recent study was done by UCLA determining that in the lemon frost location of where the lemon frost genetics are coming from, which is a skin cell mutation, they found that the skin cells are functioning completely normal compared to other skin cells in the leopard gecko as well. But what they did find was that outside of the lemon frost gene, there were numerous errors that were going on with the genetic sequence and the genetic code. So our whole desire behind the lemon frost breeding project right now is we are outcrossing it as far as possible from the original bloodline, and we're trying to see if by outcrossing it as far as possible, you can rewrite the genetic code and those defective areas where tumor production is being caused, if those defective areas can either be, I mean, the ultimate goal is for it to be taken away completely. Even if it's only minimized, eventually that's not the goal for us, and we'll stop breeding because that's not our goal. But for now, our goal is to outcross as much as possible and record what happens. And so I did not start this project. There were people before me that started this project. I jumped in at generation 3 because I saw some good things going on with each generation that got farther and farther and farther away from the original defective line. And I say defective line because I don't know if at this point, I don't know if we can completely link the defects to just the lemon frost gene because of what I said and because of the scientific studies that were done where it said that the lemon frost gene cells, they performed exactly the same as the normal cells, as well as non-lemon frosts developing tumors. I mean, how do you explain that? A gecko that is non-lemon frost still developing the tumors because it came from a lemon frost bloodline. To me, that's saying that there's other defective sequences that are going on in the gecko's DNA. And although the lemon frost gene might contribute to that and might enhance that, at this point, I think it's just way too early to say that indefinitely, without a doubt, the lemon frost gene is responsible 100% for the tumors. I don't think that that's been proven yet based off of the scientific papers and also based off of what we are seeing observationally in the leopard gecko's physical effects and what's going on with that. So that's kind of my short spiel on it. We will do more videos on it and more covering of that topic as time goes on, as well as data is presented. So another goal for us in working this project, because everyone wants to be so secretive about it and no one wants to talk about it, we want to record everything that happens for the hobby so that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 50 years from now, there will be video evidence and there will be written evidence as far as our findings and our documentation of what we found. So that if someone 50 years from now wants to say, hey, let's outcross the lemon frost project because I think there's some hope there, they can do whatever they want, but they could look up this archive and this record of data that we have that shows, hey, we outcrossed it and it worked, or we outcrossed it and it didn't work, or we outcrossed it and it kind of worked. Like the geckos got better, but not completely better. It was never fully reliable. All of that will be recorded for the hobby moving forward. That is goal number 2. Goal number 1 is obviously producing a clean line of lemon frost. Goal number 2 is recording what happens completely and openly and honestly so that people in the hobby can benefit from that knowledge and from that data, you know? So I purchased recently, there was a chameleon skin in Apex for the Pathfinder character. I purchased that because it was chameleon, it was reptile. I just had to, you know. Bloodhound is also really cool. Horizon is really cool too. Nice. I'll have to play with you guys sometime. You'll have to message me your gamer tags and I'll friend you guys on PlayStation. I've seen that a couple times, Levy, where a leopard gecko will be shaking to lay those eggs. It's possible that her eggs are stuck inside of her. So I don't know how long her eggs have been inside of her, but eggs sometimes get stuck in leopard geckos. If they get stuck, they're usually a month or older. And one of two things can happen. The gecko can reabsorb those stuck eggs. One of three things. So the gecko can reabsorb those stuck eggs, and it'll be as if nothing happened. The gecko can pass those stuck eggs later down the line, eventually. Or, unfortunately, the worst case scenario, those stuck eggs will stay stuck, will rot inside of the gecko, and will kill the gecko. That's the worst case scenario. I'm so sorry to have to even tell you that or say that, but it happened to me this year. It's happened to other people. That's a definite possibility. So you want to make sure you're doing everything you can for your gecko. I haven't experienced this working for me, but I've heard that it's worked for other people. So I'll tell you, warm baths once a day for the gecko. What I recommend is make sure the gecko has a humid hide that is misted down and it has a comfortable place to lay its eggs. Make sure it has a 90-degree hot spot to get warm. Make sure you're still giving it food and fresh water every day if you can. Food 2 to 3 times a week if you can, depending on what you feed. If you feed mealworms just 2 times a week, you know. It might not eat during this time because its body is going to be stressed out. And make sure it has a lay box or a laying substrate to feel comfortable to lay those eggs in. That could be eco earth, it could be peat moss, it could be anything that is a loose substrate for the gecko to lay its eggs in. Yeah, if you're having breeders that are laying infertile eggs, repair them. But it's also common for geckos to lay infertile eggs, whether it's a first-year female or whether it's a second-year or a 10th-year female. All of them can have chances to lay infertile eggs, and sometimes they'll lay more than fertile eggs. So anytime you see an infertile egg, try to repair the male with the female. If the female takes, good. If she doesn't take, then forget it. Separate them again. Oh yeah, so that's also another thing. Whatever you're feeding your leopard gecko, you want to be dusting it with calcium with D3. That's probably the most important thing for breeding females. Calcium with D3. D3 is just like what we get from the sun. We get vitamin D from the sun and absorbing the sun's rays. But if you do not have a UVB bulb on the gecko's tub, then you need a calcium with D3 to allow the D3 allows the calcium to get soaked into the girl's bloodstream. So yeah, Shane, you don't need oats for dubias, but to me it just spreads out that food group a little bit more, right? So you could feed them potatoes, you could feed them fruits, you could feed them meat, like you could feed them anything, right? But to me, the best thing that keeps it mold free and also keeps it from the dubias becoming overloaded with protein and overloaded with orange citrus, which is bad for bearded dragons. That's why I use the food groups I do, is because the food groups that I use hydrate the animal, nutritionize the animal, and are completely safe for any reptile to consume. Because some bearded dragons they'll have diarrhea and stomach issues if your roaches are eating oranges and then you're feeding those same roaches to the bearded dragon because now they have a high citrus content. Other reptiles are thought to develop gout or whatever, like bad health issues because the roaches were eating too much protein. So oatmeal is not high in protein. It's just the right amount of carbohydrates and fiber for the roaches to survive. And the carrots are great nutrients and hydration. And the celery is an additional nutrients and hydration. And that's why I feed what I feed. But yeah, just like with any insect, hydration is probably the #1 killer. If you are not hydrating the insect somehow, either through vegetables, fruit, I don't like fruit, but you could do it through fruit, or those like water crystals or spraying, if you're not hydrating them somehow, they will die. So sorry guys, I'll get to the questions here in a second. I just have to get these roaches down real quick. Just making sure all the lids are locked, you know. You don't want to spend all this time and then they get out because the lid is open. Alright. It's the last adult tub here. Thank you all 14, 15 of you watching and staying. Oh, so yeah, I forgot to explain with the whole outcrossing thing. There's a few subspecies slash other species of leopard geckos that are breedable with the common species. Turkmenicus is one of them. And Turkmenicus is actually classified as a separate species. It's classified as Eublepharis turkmenicus, whereas the other ones are classified as Eublepharis macularis, which is the common species, and then their subspecies, Fasciolatus, montanus, and Afghanicus. Now, no scientist has done the absolute greatest job about classifying these geckos. A Turkmenicus might be a subspecies, and like the Afghanicus might be a separate species. But as of right now, that's their classification. So I think the Turkmenicus being classified as a separate species actually gives us the best diversity to throw into outcrossing and rewriting that genetic code. But we did put so we did put the lemon frost. The lemon frost has been put into Turkmenicus already. And I believe, don't quote me on this, but I haven't seen anybody else promote it, but I believe we have the very first Generation 4 frost Turkmenicus lemon frost crosses. Again, this project hasn't been around that long. I haven't seen anybody post about it, but we are also breeding it into Fasciolatus and Afghanicus to see what happens with that as well, you know. And then we're also breeding it back to the macularis line to keep track and to, you know, in any observation or like scientific testing, you need different variations of testing going on to kind of conclude what is happening or observe what is happening, you know. We do have black knights. We have 7 black knights, actually 8. We just got a black knight baby the other day that was incubated for a male, hatched out in the proper time frame for a male, and hopefully it will be male because it came from our dark male and it came from our darkest female, and we're hoping to produce more dark males. So I'll actually show you that here in a second. So he's very, very little. But you can see him right there. And so his black is super black. And you can see he has a little pattern there. But I'm guessing, this is just my guess, that that pattern is going to be overwritten by black pigment as this gecko ages. So I'll definitely let you know how this gecko ages. It will definitely be a holdback of ours. But it came from our Black Knight male, which is pretty cool. This is a pretty good quality Black Knight male. A lot of times the males are harder to get darker than the females because they're incubated at higher temperatures. And then it came from Void, which is our blackest female. I mean, you could see how black that girl is. She has like no pattern on her. She's just completely black. So came from, and we have yeah, so we have 8 Black Knights total right now. One is a juvenile, one is a baby, and then 6 of them are adults. We have one male, and then so it's one male and then 5 adult females right now. And they're all pure Black Knights too, that came straight out of the Netherlands, and I believe one pair of them came from Indonesia. We actually acquired the project from a different breeder, so. Dude, there are so many people trying to cause drama over the lemon frost, and, you know, a lot of them are just like, you know, they have the idea, they have their decision already made inside of their head. I've asked many of them, hey, let's have a conversation about it. Let's do a live stream about it. I think the people deserve to have a conversation about it, and people deserve to know more about it. I have my stance, and I know you have your stance. Let's talk about it, you know, and actually talk about each of the points that we have and why we are viewing these points. But most people, they don't want to talk about it and anything like that. They just want to call you names. They just want to, you know, trash you and throw you down, and that's what's been happening to me. You know, a lot of these people, they've been trashing me, they've been throwing me down, and I just try to throw love back at them, you know, because that's what I feel like I'm called to do. And that being said, sometimes it hurts, sometimes it does get to my feelings and my thoughts and my emotions, you know, but it's a good practice in life to not allow your feelings and your emotions to be dictated or controlled by what other people are saying or doing, you know? So that's a practice that I've learned in the past, and I'm trying to hold up and implement even through this process, but it's not always easy, you know? Sometimes I feel like I want to get super defensive and like defend myself back. Other times I just, you know, want to get angry and lash out back. But ultimately, I think what's meant for me to do is just to humbly state my purpose, state my goal, and the people that don't agree with that, they won't agree with it. And the people that are okay with it, they will be okay with it, you know? Yeah, that's a good point, 603. Stay in touch with us. I would actually love to get more data from you about how the developmental process goes with those leopard geckos, you know? And, you know, not to completely de-worry you, but the tumors in lemon frost, can come in the future. It can. You know what I mean? So don't get me wrong there. But that's why I think this is a very long project. I'm looking at this as a 10 to 15 year project of holding back all of these animals we're producing. We're on Lemon Frost Baby 19 this year. So we're on 19 right now. We're going to be holding all of these babies back and studying every single one. And depending on their genetics and how outcrossed they are, seeing which ones develop tumors, which ones don't, which develop more, which develop less. But so far, the parents that we have in Generation 3, we're not really seeing any conclusive tumors on any of them yet. There are 2 males that we have that have like a spotting going on, but it's not a bulbous spotting yet. Like it's not really clear that it's a tumor yet. You can't decisively say that it is. And one of our males has nothing. We're breeding all 3 of those males, and as time goes on, we will breed the animals that have less and less spotting or no spotting at all and see what happens with that. So all right, now you guys can kind of see the babies. The cockroach babies that come out. So these are babies actually from last month. And these were ones that did not sell. And so I've been growing them up. And you could see how big they get in a month. So within a month, these babies are already mostly getting close to medium size. And I'm going to give them some oatmeal, carrots, and celery, just like the adults. Another thing you could do with your moldy carrots from the store is you can wash them. Take them to the sink or take them to the bathroom and rinse them out. But yeah, there's a little baby cockroach setup. We actually set it up in the same bins as our leopard geckos, and they grow out in these bins right here. And these ones are, so these cockroaches are probably, they're ranging from like a month to 2 months old. And that's another thing. Next time we sift, I'm going to use one more bucket to sift out the smallest of the smallest sizes. Because our sifting system right now, when I sift it, there's what it catches all the way at the bottom is anywhere from a couple weeks old to about a month old. So like these ones, now that they're grown up, some of them are a month old, some of them are 2 months old or 2.5 months old. So I want a bucket system that is going to catch the smallest of the smallest ones all the way at the bottom, and then separate out larger ones as well. It's tough, you know, the bucket system. It's not that easy. I mean, you really need to have the right size holes, the right size buckets. It takes some time. It takes a little time to get set up. Once you're set up, though, it's pretty good. Once you're set up, you're rocking and rolling. But that's just one modification that we're going to make this next month for sifting, because a lot of stores do care about that. Some stores don't care, and I've had no issues with a couple of stores. I sell them those little babies that are a couple weeks old to like a month old, and they have no problem paying what I want to pay. But then other stores are like, the sizes are mixed a little bit too much, so. But if if I don't, whatever I don't sell is okay, because I'm just holding them back and I'll turn them into breeders and they'll make me more money in the future, you know? That is for sure, because doobie roaches will always, as far as I can tell, they will always be a necessity in this reptile hobby, especially since bearded dragons, which is their primary consumer, is the #1 most selling reptile in the world. And I think, well, not reptile, lizard. And I think leopard gecko is behind that as #2. And crested gecko is #3. That's my opinion. But crested gecko is making a big rise right now. I think it's definitely trying to compete with leopard gecko. When you go to reptile shows and stuff, you definitely see more crested geckos right now than you do leopard geckos. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this YouTube channel, is to put more content out there about leopard geckos, because I think they have the ability to be as popular as ball pythons are to the ball pythons are the #1 most sold reptile in the entire world, hands down. In the United States, hands down, no doubt about it. I think leopard geckos have the ability to match that if only people and breeders would create more content around leopard geckos. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's so great for any breeder or any hobbyist to get out there and start a YouTube channel or start an Instagram, because the more people are aware that leopard geckos exist, the more they're going to want to buy leopard geckos because of how great they are. All right, sorry guys, had to rinse some carrots just to make sure. A little bit of mold residue. Make sure there's no mold on there before I refrigerate them, so that they can have absolutely no mold. Because if there's a little mold on there now, just on one carrot, it will spread. So I wash them and then put them in like a dry bucket. So yeah, Crescent, that does happen. That just happened with my crested geckos today. The crested gecko laid one fertile egg and one infertile egg. Well, at least infertile as I can tell. Sometimes an egg will look infertile. Sometimes it won't have an embryo, but it will still wind up being fertile and developing. So that's why I incubate everything. But so most leopard geckos, here's the process that it goes. They start ovulating. Bam, you look at their belly. The ovulations are pink. Those ovulations are going to be growing for about a 2 to 3 week period before they either turn into an egg or before they go away and the ovulation starts all over again. It's a cycle. It's a process of a little ovulation growing into a big ovulation. If during that 2 to 3 week process, the female is paired with the male, those ovulations will develop fully into eggs. If she's not paired with the male, most likely she's going to absorb those ovulations and re-ovulate again the next month. She can turn those ovulations into infertile eggs, which is another possibility as well. Yeah, carrots and celery for mealworms and dubia roaches is super good. It doesn't mold. It gives them the hydration they need. It's great. So, Shane, make sure you have a 1 to 3 ratio, 1 male to 3 females. And also, make sure your adults are new. So the lifespan of a cockroach, here's the lifespan of a cockroach. They go from baby to adult in about 6 months. Then they breed from adult to about 1.5 years when they die. So the whole cockroach lifespan is only a year. 6 months of growth, 1 year of breeding. That's what you can expect from a cockroach. What I would recommend, Shane, buy a whole batch of small cockroaches. There are some cockroach breeders out there like dubiaroaches.com and stuff. They will sell you 10,000 small roaches for like $300. It's a ridiculously good rate. Buy up those 10,000 or 5,000 or 1,000 for $100 or $300. Grow them up into adults, and now you know for sure you have fresh breeders and not stale breeders, you know? A Mandarin Afghanicus cross, it depends on the quality of the babies. It's not enough in name. A Black Knight is not enough in name. A Tangerine is not enough in name. It has to be in display as well. It has to show some of the characteristics that make a gecko valuable. If a Mandarin is crossed with an Afghanicus and the Afghanicus shows high quality orange and high quality bold pattern, I think that animal's worth $400 to $500 depending on the quality of it. But it depends on the quality of the animal. If the quality is lower, then now you're looking at $200 to $300. If the quality is higher, it could go $600 to $700. You know, so it really depends. We make our racks. I was talking about it earlier in this segment. Essentially, all you need to make a rack is a shelf. I'll show you again since you're asking. Take a look at our racks. Here's our racks. The main thing you need is a shelf. Then you need something to hold that shelf. This is called an arm. This is a 1x3 arm. This is a 1/4-inch plywood from Home Depot. This is a 2x3 support. This is a cross beam to connect the 2x3s. So you just need a little bit of creativity. This is a 2x3 on the bottom again to hold the bottom shelf. And you just build upwards. It is going to take some tweaking because wood is not perfect. Wood has little bows and skews and all kinds of stuff. Make sure you pre-drill your holes because that will prevent the wood from cracking for the most part. And that's it. You could try that. Our racks now have gone to 1x3s as the sides. And these are really like 1x1s. It's actually a 1x3 cut in half that's nailed with a nail gun. My cousin has all that. I don't have a nail gun, so I was building with sturdy wood. He had a nail gun, so he could build with more discreet wood, because a nail gun is not going to split this. A screw might split this, unless you pre-drill. You could spend the time to pre-drill, and a screw probably won't split this. But this is a 1x3 cut in half. The other option at the store, they have 2x2s or they have 1x2s. It's the same concept, though. You need you need a side support, a shelf, and you need an arm going all the way back to hold the shelf. You could kind of see, take a look what those arms look like. Those arms go all the way back, and they just hold the shelf from side to side. And I just screwed it in with some screws right here into the 2x3. So 2x3, 1x3, plywood. You could choose any plywood you want. The thicker the plywood, the longer you could go without a bow or a bend. This thinner plywood here, this 1/4 inch, it bows and it bends. And if that's a problem for you, depending on your tub or depending on the escape risk, then you might want to use plywood that is less bendable. Or you could make shelving units that are smaller. As you see, this is a 4-foot shelving unit, which we had to put middle supports for because it was bowing and bending too low in the middle. But with this 2-foot wide shelf, we don't need any support. The wood just holds, and we actually used a sturdier plywood than the 1/4 inch as well. So you go to Home Depot, where doers get things done, or take a friend that really knows about, home DIY projects, or research it a little bit online, and you can kind of come up with some ideas. But anything's possible. You can definitely build your own units. So, and it's not very expensive either. Our newest unit, these first units, I think used to take me about $200 worth of wood and screws and all that kind of stuff. The newer units, which are a little smaller, are only like $50 or $60 worth of wood. Like, it is like nothing. And it houses 25 adult leopard geckos. So this unit right here is probably $40 to $50 worth of wood. And then, or it might be 50 to 60, because wood is actually expensive right now. If you don't know about materials, the price of materials have gone up during COVID. So like this piece of plywood was probably like $20 before COVID. Now it might be like $50. So the price is going to go up a little based on that. But needless to say, 1x3s are really cheap. 1x3 arms are really cheap. 2x3s are really cheap. That's all really cheap. It's fairly cheap. You're looking at like $50 to $70 to build a unit that holds 24 adult leopard geckos and is 2 feet wide and 6 feet tall. Amazing value. If you were to try to get this in COVID right now, you're probably looking at like $600 to $900 for a unit that is going to hold, maybe even more, for a unit that's going to hold 24 adult leopard geckos. I don't even think they make units that hold this many. They make them in like 10 high or something like that. And then you got to stack them on top of each other. And that's not even counting the price of the heat tape, the price of the tubs, the price of a thermostat. You're looking at like $1,000. If you do it yourself, you will save thousands and hundreds. And you could get a cheap jump start thermostat from Amazon like this. Set it. Get some heat tape. We are now a distributor of FlexWad heat tape, the only American-made and the safest heat tape in the world for you to use on your reptile racks. We are now a distributor of them. We sell 4-inch heat tape, which is perfect for adult leopard geckos or baby leopard geckos. It costs $2.50 per foot. We could ship anywhere to you in the United States. So you need heat tape, a rack, and a thermostat. That is all you need. Those 3 things to build your own rack. And you could do it for like a fifth of the cost of professional racking. So yeah, I don't know much about the Enigma. Personally, I had an Enigma that passed away from Enigma syndrome. It was too stressed out neurologically. It spun around all the time and it couldn't eat its food. And as it gets skinnier, it winds up stressing out even more and it became a bigger and bigger issue. Some people's Enigmas don't have any problems. And I'm curious to see if anybody tried to outcross the Enigma to wild bloodlines, kind of like what we're doing with the Lemon Frost. I haven't heard of anybody doing that, but I wonder if that would help, you know? So I trust LLL Reptile. I don't have any personal experience to speak from them. But like with any business, you're going to hear horror stories, right? And LLL Reptile is a gigantic business, meaning that they sell to hundreds of thousands of customers a year. And so out of those hundreds of thousands of customers, you're going to get people talking good. You're going to get people talking bad. You're going to get people that are saying, well, with the collection that large, how much can you really trust the quality of the animals? I can't speak to that because I never bought anything from LLL Reptile. I would be careful going to large chains like that are not niche specific. If you're, you know, because LLL Reptile, say that 5 times fast, they sell monitor lizards, they sell snakes, they sell geckos, they sell tarantulas, they sell scorpions, they sell feeders, they sell tanks, they sell heat lamps, they sell heat pads, they sell thermostats, they sell thermometers, they sell everything. They are a reptile store or an exotic animal store. It's tougher when you go to these big chain stores like that for them to have a personal relationship with you and for them to know what's going on with every single one of their animals. For example, I know what's going on with every single one of my animals. I could tell you, this one lost a tail. This one is special needs. This one's not eating. This one's really high quality. This one's low quality. I can tell you all that stuff because I'm a smaller breeder and I'm more focused on my collection rather than all these other things. So I would recommend, would be my honest recommendation is, I don't have anything good or I don't have anything bad to say about LLL. I would say go to a niche specific breeder because I don't have any experience with LLL. Maybe someone else does, but there's lots of really good niche specific breeders out there. Suburban Geckos is great. Geckopia is great. Urban Gecko is great. JMG Reptile is great. I just found these people today and they have some great geckos. B&M Gecko is great. Luna Geckos is great. There's a lot of great, you know, we're great, but I don't have any geckos to sell this year. I'm sorry. There's a lot of great gecko breeders to purchase from that are niche specific, that know their collection inside and out, and that are focused solely on leopard geckos or just on a smaller subset of species and responsibilities. So yeah, it's kind of funny. PetSmart and Petco, they actually get, excuse me, they get their leopard geckos from wholesalers. You know, people that are producing tens of thousands of leopard geckos a year just to sell into the wholesale market. And I'm pretty sure the company that came out with the Lemon Frost gene way back when, you know, like 6-7 years ago, I'm pretty sure they are solely a wholesale distributor now. I'm not sure if they're doing any more retail, like directly to consumer, but they discovered the Lemon Frost gene in their vast pool of geckos, and I think they only wholesale now. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but I think I was researching them a little bit, and they only wholesale. So, and it's funny because someone was telling me like any gecko can develop tumors, right? But someone was telling me their PetSmart or Petco gecko had tumors, and I had a thought in my head. I was like, Well, what if that came from the Lemon Frost wholesale breeder that actually wholesaled out some of these Lemon Frost that were not visual Lemon Frost, and or accidentally it happened, you know? It can happen. Now, if you were here when Brooke was here, Brooke does work at PetSmart Petco. She works at PetSmart, I think. Either PetSmart or Petco, and it's not all the time you're going to get an employee that is actually knowledgeable about reptiles and stuff, but she'll actually send people back. Like if she's checking somebody out at the register and they didn't buy the proper heating or the proper lighting, she will actually encourage them to go back and buy the proper lighting. Or if they were not informed by whoever the other sales associate was, she will inform them of the proper care and information, you know? So yes, it's unfortunate that stores like that do tend to potentially have unhealthy animals and employees that don't know how to take care of their animals, but you can't really generalize it because not every employee is going to be the same. And you know, Brooke, she's great at those locations working with those people. But again, you could have employees at a reptile specific store that are giving you bad information. Like anything can happen, you know. I don't know why I said that. Sometimes I just have thoughts and they just come out and I say stuff, but I just try to reply to the comments. Ooh, it is hot in here now, guys. Like I said, I keep this room 90 degrees. Tell your parents dubia roaches don't smell. If they escape from the tub, they will die in the house. They cannot survive in normal household temperatures. Yeah, they don't smell. They'll make you thousands of dollars a month if you grow a colony. But as far as feeders are concerned, mealworms are perfectly fine. Mealworms to me are the easiest and the best thing that I can feed my my leopard geckos, as long as I'm supplementing with calcium with D3 and vitamins, which I do. So I use Osteoform SA, 1 scoop, and Vionate vitamin powder, 3 scoops of that. That's my supplementation. So thank you, 603. I appreciate you saying that, brother. Yes, Brenda, you're here. I just replied to, I think, one of your emails or something. And I did disappear for a second. Sorry. Right now, no geckos I'm willing to sell. Like I said, I really need to take a strategic holdback here. Since I'm doing this full time right now, the only way to do it full time is to have our producing you animals as well. So I want to have lots of high quality geckos so I can offer people good quality pricing. And to do that, I need a lot of breeders. And so that's why I'm saving all the geckos this year, turning them into breeders again for next year. Plus, when you hold back geckos, you get to see the best of the best geckos that pop out because their colors don't technically fully come to fruition until about 5 to 6 months in is their full color development, you know? We're in Arizona, by the way. Sorry, Brendan, I missed where you got your gecko from. I think we were talking about PetSmart, Petco. We were talking about LLL Reptile. I'm not sure which one of those you might have been saying you got your gecko from, or maybe I missed it. But yeah, that's another thing too. When you get your geckos from a niche specific breeder, there's a lot more customer service. So you can literally like call that breeder up. Like when I sell geckos next year, you'll literally be able to call me up and be like, my gecko's not eating. What am I doing wrong? Or, you know, in worst case scenarios, you could call the breeder up and be like, hey, I think this gecko is sick or something. And they'll be a lot more honorable with their health code and with whatever it might be. Because we observe gecko breeders that are on a smaller scale, we observe our collection. So we know which geckos are, you know, eating well, which geckos are not eating well, which geckos are growth rate is normal, which ones are a little bit slower, which geckos are looking like their normal size, which ones are coming out a little bit more runty. Like we know all that information and we're able to share that with you and also be there with you hand in hand if things go wrong or if things go good, you know what I mean? Or if you need advice for breeding projects or whatever. There's just a lot more customer service when you go to a niche specific breeder, so. I will breed leopard geckos until they die, honestly. We have leopard geckos here that I'm sure are 7, 8, 9 years old because I acquired them from, you know, people off of Craigslist, and they were already old when I got them. So, if you look at Ron Tremper's books, he used to have a recording sheet of geckos that he was breeding for 10 years, and he would be like, okay, females produced best in years 4 and 5, and then tapered off. And before that, it wasn't as good or something, you know, like he kept track of all that data. So I would just breed the gecko as long as you want to breed them. That decision is completely up to you. As female geckos age, they will tend to lay less eggs. That is what I'm starting to see in my collection with some of my older geckos, and it's also what Ron Tremper documented in his gecko books. See ya, Gecko boy. Yeah, I think I'm about to head out too. I'm trying to catch up with these questions, but I probably need to get going here. Yeah, if you keep dubia roaches fresh, I mean, I don't smell my dubia roaches, you know. They need to be ventilated. They need to have cardboard. And it also depends what you put in there. If you're putting fruit and meat and stuff like that in there and high protein stuff that's kind of like rotting or whatever, then that could also make it smell. I just do carrots, celery, and oatmeal, and I have no smell whatsoever. If anything, it smells like vegetables. Like I smell vegetables right now. Yes, geckos during breeding season will go off of food or can go off of food. So that is something that can happen from about January through, it could be as late as May or June. The gecko might not be eating as much because it's in breeding mode, especially if it's developing ovulations. Oh, yeah. Florida can't keep dubia roaches either. You hide them, yeah. Yeah, I want to try to get some giant black knights going. That's definitely something I want to do, so. Yeah, leopard geckos are really the best. I mean, their personality and everything, like I showed, like they're just out and about. They look at you when you come into the room. I mean, look at this little guy right here. Look at him. He's just wall surfing. He's happy as can be. Just, they come up to you sometimes, you know? Like the adults, like check this out. Watch this guy. This guy's one of my nicest boys. Hi, baby. See? He likes being petted. He leans into it. He'll even come up to where your fingers are to, you know, come and be pet and investigate and check things out. I almost sold this guy too. I'm glad I didn't because I think he's going to be a good breeder for next year. He's pretty nice. Hypo tangerine. Non-albino. That I think is going to be really cool. He's a nice boy. I don't think his name is Joey, but I want to keep calling him Joey because I had his brother, which I sold, and his name was Joey, and he looked kind of similar to him. This guy's name is not Joey, but I want to call him Joey, so maybe he'll be Joey 2.0. Watch, he's just going to reach for you. He'll give you a kiss on your finger. Leopard geckos are just awesome. See? All right, we're going to try to put him back. There you go, buddy. I love leopard geckos. I mean, I just fell in love with them. That's why we're called GeekyGeckoCreations. That's my specific niche and focus. Obviously, we have a lot of other stuff going on around here. We got crested geckos, some gargoyle geckos. Tegus are another big thing that I began to fall in love with, but leopard geckos truly have my heart. So this is a very nice bold stripe mom that has been producing a lot of babies for us this year. She has an Omega horseshoe sign on her head, and we have a lot of bold stripe babies that are coming out very nice quality. You can see the middle of her back is just like a pure highlighter yellow, and then her stripes are very neatly organized down her sides, and her babies have inherited a lot of that. So we have a lot of bold stripe babies and stuff that are coming from her that we're turning into breeders, and then we'll be selling their babies next year and stuff. Yeah, she's beautiful. I got really lucky with her. She came from like a really good breeder in a wholesale deal, and somebody else bought her and didn't want bold stripes, so I purchased her for like $75. She's literally probably worth $200 to $300 with like this quality and those stripings. Easily $200 to $300, and I got her for $75, and I got her sister as well. I'll show you her sister. In my opinion, her sister's not as nice, but is still nice. So this is where all our bold stripe lines have come from. Both of these girls, they did an excellent job producing this year, and even their daughters are producing this year. So again, clean yellow back, but the stripes are not as clean in my opinion, and it doesn't have a cool omega symbol, but still a very nice bold stripe leopard gecko. She's been breeding to one of our bold stripe males and producing some great bold stripe additions to our project here. We have tons of bold stripes, tons of tangerines, and quite a few lemon frost. That's like the majority of what we got going on right now. It's mainly bold stripes, tangerines, lemon frost stuff. And that's like the majority of our babies right now. So I had Super Snow Girls, I had Blizzard Girls this year, but they haven't produced for me yet. But those are also two popular traits you'll want to work with. But and then of course we have combinations of like snow and bold and tangerine and albino. But in general, I break everything down into a main category, right? So you can see this is the main category is tangerine, but it might be also an albino. It might be het eclipse. You know what I mean? I just label it as tangerine as the main subset. I mean, as the base morph. And then in the computer or eventually on here, I will write like this. This gecko is a tangerine. It's confirmed that it came from Inferno/Tangelo bloodline. It's confirmed that it's an eclipse. It's confirmed that it's Tremper albino. So once the babies graduate from baby to adult tub, they also get a breakdown of their genetics. So check this out. These babies recently graduated. It's tangerine, Tremper albino, possible het eclipse, and then possible red stripe. Same with this. Tangerine, Tremper, possible het eclipse. As the babies graduate into adult tubs, they will get their full genetics written down on there. But here are a couple babies that came from bold projects. And as you can see, oh, by the way, white and yellow. We have white and yellow in our bold projects, and it's just amazing. And the reason I say that is because this gecko's looking pretty clean. I think this gecko's a white and yellow, but it was a white and yellow bold stripe. As you can see, it did not inherit the stripes, but it did inherit the white and yellow gene. Its sibling down there did inherit some of those stripes, but that's the variance that you're going to get with bold. Whenever you breed bold and bold stripe projects, some of the geckos are going to come out with stripes. Some of them will come out not striped. However, most of the bold stripe project bloodlines have really nice color, like oranges, greens, high yellows. Well, not most. Most of the bold stripe lines have high yellow and bold. And what we did is we took white and yellow and marine and combined it with the bold stripe line. So a lot of our bold stripes will have nice colors of green, purple, bold stripes in there, green, emerine colors in there, and high yellow in there because of where the parents come from. So that's why I've really been taking the time to hold back babies so that we can have some really nice quality stuff and have a lot of it to keep back for ourselves and keep breeding, but also to sell to people next year as well. So that's why this is a strategic holdback year for us, is so that we can produce the best of the best stuff. Now, the siblings coming out a little bit here, and you can kind of see, and they also come out. They don't like to hide when you touch their tub. They'll come out. But you can see the sibling right there. You can see it did inherit more of that striped pattern down its back, and it's still high yellow. So there you go. See if I can get out of the light. And I'm pretty sure, I'd have to look in the genetic code, but I'm pretty sure these striped geckos, they probably came from Ashley, which is the first striped gecko that I showed you, versus her sister, Mary Kate. I named them Mary Kate and Ashley, which is the second bold striped gecko I showed you. All right, this is going to be the last gecko I show. I want to show you guys one more gecko. Because I'm really, really excited about this guy. When this guy was born, he was a pink color with two perfectly black, thin, striped lines. We use this guy to breed with a lot of our bold stripes this year because he is so high quality white and yellow. Like, he's very high amounts of white and he's very high amounts of yellow. You can see the pattern doesn't start till way up there. And you can't see it now, but that used to be completely of a black line. And so this year, we've created some really, really nice bold stripes using that pinstripe lining of his combined with Mary Kate and Ashley's thick, heavy, dark patterning. The reason his bold stripes kind of faded out a little bit, but you can still see them as runners down each side, is because he's a white and yellow. White and yellows tend to brighten the color. And so it's a really nice combination still when you mix white and yellow with bold stripe. But this is the dad that we have used to breed to most of our bold stripe, to most of our bold stripe girls this year, because he is a white and yellow and because he has the thinnest, perfect straight lines that are going down his back. It's a little hard to tell now, but if you raise this guy from a baby, you could tell the pigmentation, which is what we're going for, the pattern pigmentation. The pattern pigmentation went straight down his sides in a clean pinstripe, like racing stripe pattern. And so that DNA exists in his blood. And when you breed him to a non-white and yellow bold stripe, their genetics are going to overlap and he's going to produce some very nice quality bold stripe as well as white and yellow bolds. And that's a lot of what we got this year. So, and you can see a lot of that green kind of emerine coloration around his head. That's from his dad, which was, again, like I was saying, the white and yellow bloodline that we mixed into our bold bloodline. Actually, I have to show you. I have to show you where our bloodlines came from for the bold so that you can see why they're so colorful. So we took Ashley, which was that very nice bold stripe that I showed you, and we bred her to this male. Now, anything you notice about this male, if you look on his head, he has like a lime green coloration on his head. He also carries some lime green and bright orange coloration into his body, like kind of like pastel highlighter orange. But he's not a tangerine, but he has some of those colors, and he is a white and yellow leopard gecko. White and yellow increases the white pigment, brightens up the gecko. So we took him and we bred him to the bold stripe. And then we popped out that baby that you saw, and we bred that baby to a lot of bold stripe geckos this year. Because he is white and yellow, he has nice thin racing pinstripes, and we just thought that he would make a great color enhancer as well as a striped pattern replicator, you know? And then same thing again. This was another bold stripe boy that we bred to the girls. You can see those pure lines going down his back. And again, he's white and yellow, which is why it's not super, super bright, because the white and yellow gene increases the pigment coloration. So if you look on his head, you can definitely see, I called him, what did I call him? Muhammad or Ali. I called him Prince Ali because look at that symbol on his head. It looks like an Arabian like letter or something like that. So all of that pattern was like dark black as a baby. But as they get older, their colors are going to fade a little bit. And the fact that he's white and yellow naturally brightens his color. So he's another male that we bred to a lot of our bold stripe females this year. And you can see why. Those stripes, the pattern pigmentation carries down the sides of his back, and it made some great combos for babies that we popped out this year. So, see ya, buddy. Ali, Prince Ali. Or I called him Ali Baba. That's what I called him because of that pattern on the head right there. Kind of looks like transcript or like, you know, like Muslim writing or something. Oh, man, I am sweating it up right now, guys. It is hot. So I really appreciate your time. I'm sorry if I missed any questions. If any of them were really important, please message me privately. You could go to our website, GeekyGeckoCreations.com, and fill out a contact form there. Or you could email me directly, GeekyGeckoCreations@gmail.com, or reach out at any social media platform, Facebook, Instagram. Those are like the top two, or leave a comment. But I thank you guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Thank you for hanging out with us over here. We're hanging out with me and the geckos, talking geckos, geeking out on reptiles. I really appreciate you guys. I really wanted to do this live stream because I didn't get to do one Monday, and I told you I wanted to make up a live stream for you. So we did one with Brooke on Wednesday, this one today, and I think we're kind of back on track to do another one on Monday. And I'm going to be putting out a poll that is going to be looking for your guys' votes on the next video that we make. There'll be some topics for you to vote on there. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you guys soon. Message me privately if you have any questions. And I'll see you guys later. Have a Geeky Gecko great day.